Welcome to Optimal Game State. Every Christmas, one of the things I love doing is playing some games of Warcry with my brother. This Christmas, I didn't get to do that because I ended up being sick the day after Christmas. So, this most recent weekend, which was St. Brigid's weekend for us here in Ireland, I got down and got to play some games with him. So, St. Bridget is one of our local saints. Is the descendant or the version of the Christian version of one of our old Celtic goddesses. In honor of her, I decided to go with a Darkoath Warqueen as the major team for these games. So I put together a Darkoath warband for myself and set up a few different games for my brother. So there's 3 games in total. We went with the Scales of War battle plans. They were from White Dwarf 496, and I had cards printed out for them. So for all of them, they're objective based. Typically, you have a couple of guys on the board, and then turn 2, the rest of your warband will turn up. In this case, we're doing a town raid. So this is the Darkoath raiding one of the towns. And there are 4 objectives. If you control 1 objective, you get 1 point. If you control 2 objectives, you get 2 victory points. So 1 and then another 1. And if you double your opponents, you get an extra 1. Isn't that it? Yeah. And it ends after 4 rounds as normal. You count the points. And that's kind of the same theme throughout the 3 battles we're going to be playing. But there's also an extra bit to it, so the side quest. So in this case, you get an extra 3 if you manage to switch one of the objectives. So that's the game. No, that's the objective. I'm not going to have any video of it. This is just going to be some stills. I'm just going to talk my way through it. The board's slightly bigger than it should be. It's a mat, so I've kind of marked out the edges of it using this the terrain, the scenery. From the right-hand side here, this is where the Darkoath are going to be coming in. You can see the map deployment just there to the left. So we are going to have the Darkoath Warqueen and 2 of her Marauders coming in through that main gate. And then on turn 2, we will start getting in a few of those extra members. So the other two groups, there is Warqueen Tenari, and she's got a couple of Marauders, and then there is a Marauder Champion. So it's not a very meta list. It's just a little bit thematic. On the other side, we have Haskell Hexbane, and we have Quite Pock, and then we've got a bunch of the City of Sigmar guys. So lots of Steel Helms. We've got the Whisperblade Assassin. There's the Medic, the Apothecary. Then over to the side, if I remember this right, it's the Arch Knight. And it is the Marshal. So both of those are set up to be spend a double, I think it is, and then you do a bubble to get +1 attack to everyone. But it's everyone else, so they don't benefit from themselves. So, hopefully that will work out, and we'll see how this game goes. Well, I know how the game goes. We deployed, we advanced toward the center, and we started capturing some bits. Turn 2, guys dropped in. We had a impact between the Arch Knight, the Marshal, and then Warqueen Tenari. And Warqueen Tenari came out on top of that, taking out the Arch Knight, but suffering a big chunk of damage herself. That's the Warqueen slowly advancing up. Down the far corner, we have the Whisperblade and a bunch of Steel Helms. So Quite Pock is on the bottom left. He was very, very good. So there was a group of 4, I think it was, of the Darkoath that were advancing, and over 2 turns he was able to basically kill shot 1 each. So he worked out quite good, and being able to do that AoE damage is, of course, super, super, super good. I think that's the remaining 2 out of that group finally making it. You can see that 3 damage sitting on 1 is from one of the explosive arrows. This is the Warqueen. You can see Tenari is still up there, so this is off to the right-hand side, as it were. This is one of the objectives that's been heavily contested. So yeah, you can see that down there at the bottom. So that one at the bottom is 1 objective. Then you can see on the right-hand side, you've got the Marshal and Warqueen Tenari fighting it out, and just above them, there is a Steel Helm on another objective. Over to the left-hand side, you can see there is the medic and one of the marauders, both fighting over a single objective there. And then just above that area, there's a melee going on. So that's the fourth objective. So that's the four objectives. You can see, there's a mess of violence going on, basically. Is that the bottom one? You can see damage is slowly going down. A lot of flailing. The marauders aren't great, and the steel helms aren't great, which was kind of fitting. Put a lot of the action on the kind of heroic characters. Hexbane looking for a target. Pock found it quite tricky at times. Obviously, he's not able to shoot into combat, so he has to choose his targets well. Okay, so yeah, at this point, the Warqueen has managed to finish off the Marshal, and then she's able to advance through. This was one of the big ones at this particular moment. It was the last turn of the game. She had, because she'd managed to kill the Arch Knight on turn 2, there was a... I don't know what it... Sorry, yeah, no, well, it was Tanari who'd done that. But the Warqueen, she did at some point manage to get favoured and after fulfilling her oath of murder. And then when she used her triple, that gave all of her guys a bit of a move. It also gave them a extra bonus that let them count as 2 for each of the objectives, which let them flip one. And that in the end did mean that the Darkoath were able to win it out. So at the end of the battle, Warqueen Tanari was down, but the normal Warqueen was still good. The Marshal and the Archknight were down, and the 2 Witch Hunters were still good. So in the second story, what I figured would happen is those Witch Hunters would then seek some buddies. So it's going to be an Order of Azir battle group for one side, and then we are going to have the Darkoath on the other. So in this case, this would have been the Darkoath Warqueen retreating back with her ill-gotten gains, and in this case, she came upon a camp. But we'll look at that in a second. So this is the second one that we randomly picked out. Again, it is a bunch of objectives, holding the objectives, getting an extra point for doubling. So it's the exact same as I had before. The quirk to it is you only have those 2 black objectives, and at the end of turn 2 and the end of turn 3, you get to pick one of the 2 locations to place an objective down there. So, those are the 2 red ones there. So on turn 2, one of them will spawn on turn 3. Sorry, end of turn 2. So for turn 3, and then for turn 4, the last one will be there. So you have all 4. This was the train we went with, so I've got that nice little camp set up that I quite like. On the left-hand side, we have Gunnar Brand. So that's Gunnar Brand down there with his Smith and Nadia, Broken Nadia. Down at the bottom, we obviously have that Warqueen coming in with her 2 friends. And then over on the right-hand side, we have Pock and Haskell Hexbane and one of their doggos. And then at the very top, we have... Vigilus, I can't remember what his name is, the Savior of Cinderfall, the Librarian Stormcast. Right behind him, you can just about make out the base of Sigrid. So she's going to be coming on turn 2. And then at the very bottom, you've got Callus and Tall, and that's also Brigid as well. Again, thematic for the weekend. So they're going to spawn in on turn 2, and they'll be right behind that other group. So we got action straight away. Initially, we're going to see the 2 warbands move closer together. This is the Darkoath side, so I gave Gunnar +1 strength. Obviously, we've got Singri, Nadia, Dendril. Yeah, as I said, pretty much expected. So this is obviously a lot about getting your double in to get favored, and then triggering the triples on those afterwards. So here we have the Warqueen coming in from below, Haskell and Pock advancing towards the middle, and then that's Various. I really enjoyed those cases. They were a lot of fun to put together. So everyone moves in on turn 1, not a lot going on, and then this is, I think, starting into turn 2. So the key ability that we have here from this, I'm just going to find out what the name is. Valious Keeper. The key ability is a triple, which reduces the damage he takes from hits and crits. So my brother kept triggering that with him, and that meant that we were able to do very little damage. So between these two, Darkoath, rolling tons of crits, tons of hits, but they're just doing ones. Off to the right, we've got a bunch of ranged. So this was kind of interesting because that has, there's actually a lot of ranged on both sides. But once people get into melee, you all of a sudden find that they're vulnerable. So one of the things that happened was the Gryph-hound got killed very fast, and the dog got killed very fast. But I almost, as a Darkoath player, was a little upset by that, a little annoyed, because it would have been nice if those fighters could have still been in melee, and that would have meant they couldn't have been targets. Yeah, so obviously, the guys fighting Valious aren't targets, but right now everyone else is kind of fair game to get pot shots hit into. On the other side, we have Nadia. Nadia is going to be holding that objective, but she also has that range 7 spell attack that can be quite devastating if you get lucky, and I do get lucky a lot. What else do we have? Oh, and you can see Haskell moving up towards the Warqueen at the top middle. Sigrid moves out and takes the chance to take some pot shots at Pock. Now, if she could kill Pock, she has been sword or oath at this time, but she hasn't managed to get a kill. Now, if she could get that kill, she'd be a lot better, but she trades some shots off with Pock initially. Here's that fight going on. So Valious does actually do a hell of a lot of damage, so he's got 4 dice, strength 5, and does 3s and 5s. So as tough as Gunnar is, eventually that wore him down and did kill him. Sigrid decided to switch after the I think the objective moved over to this side, I think, for the end of turn 2. So it's a turn 3. We're fighting over that bottom one, I think. But yeah, again, it's another duel off. And in this case, she ended up the worst for wear on it. So she got a good amount of damage down on it's Toll and Callus. I think Toll is the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter got a significant amount of damage down on, that's what I meant. But yeah, they finished her off, and then for this last round, then those 2 guns were pointed down towards Broken Nadia. Now, in the end, again, we managed to scrape this slightly ahead for points with the Darkoath, probably because they had a few more men, and yeah, getting that range damage into the right position just wasn't great all the time. And that was game 2. So, game 2, what did we have happen? The Gunner brand line was wiped out. The Witch Hunters largely were fine. Did we lose anything? They lost the doggos, they lost the pets, and I think that was about it. Yeah, so they actually came out of it quite well, even if technically they did lose on victory points. Nadia survived. The Darkoath Warqueen, that is the kind of key figure for this, did also survive. So going into the last and the third game, we had Blades of Blood. So it's the same idea. So there's 3 objectives this time. 1 for scoring 1, another 1 for scoring 2, and if you double your opponent, you're scoring an extra 1 for max of 3. The side quest for it is if you kill someone next to an objective, then you score 1. As you can see, where the red and blue daggers are going to be facing off at the start, and in round 2, everything is going to come in. So this is the battle board. I figured snowy, it's going to be further up into the Darkoath territories, and then maybe we'll do it in a broken, old, or desecrated Temple of Sigmar. Felt nice to have the statue of Sigmar on the right-hand side, and then on the other side, the actual monsters are facing off against. For the good guys, we went with the Black Talons on the theory that it didn't work out for the Order of Vizier, so they called in some of the big guns. Also, I painted them up. We hadn't had a chance to play them yet, so it was a good opportunity to do that. Facing off against them, the key figure for this is that Wilderfiend, which I'm super happy how that came out. And we did include Nadia, we did include a champion, and we did include the Darkoath Warqueen, but then everything else will just pack down with Marauders just to get those numbers up. So it should be a straight duel to the death, essentially. In the middle, we have those 3 lanterns, whatever you call them, and they will be our 3 objective tokens. So that's where we're going to be going around from. So initially, both sides just advance up towards the middle. And in this case, Neve went left to try hold on to that objective over there. And then, what's your buddy called? Hendrik. It's Hendrik. Okay. And Hendrik went in the middle. Now, that may have been a mistake. I may not have fully explained the warband to my brother. He went in with Hendrik, and then so it's the end of turn 1. They had made contact, but neither got an attack off. And at the start of turn 1, he did get the advantage. Now, what he did was he attacked twice, which I think, in retrospect, might have been a mistake, because that meant the Wilderfiend was able to attack him back and do a hell of a lot of damage. So yeah, as you can see, more figures are about to appear on the board, and you can see Hendrik is gone. So Neve does actually have a plus strength blessing on her, just to give her a little bit more impact, and it actually would have made her a really, really good killer against that Wilderfiend. They're quite similar on certain elements of it, even though she looks a little bit smaller. It does look quite scary. Now, what happened here was Neve stayed out of it and instead tried to kill off some of those small guys with her range attack, which really isn't as effective as maybe it could be. So it's 3 dice, strength 4, does 1s and 4s, rather than 6 dice, so double that, strength 5 plus 1, and then 2s and 4s damage, which is a lot more effective, especially because I boosted that strength up to 6. But again, this is just my brother not being as familiar with the warband as maybe he could have been. And then when he did eventually move in, she got eaten. Yeah, so Neve got popped, unfortunately, and then it was up to Rostas Oxenhammer to try avenge her death, which, I mean, he helped. He did a good amount of damage. Around this, of course, on the left-hand side, you can see that the Darkoath have managed to capture that one, and on the right-hand side, they are fighting over that last one that Lorai was trying to hold on to by herself. In the middle, you can see we've got 2 on 1, so Rostas isn't holding those objectives. So at this point, it was kind of evident that maybe I'd made a mistake, that the balance between the 2 warbands wasn't good, but my brother was quite enjoying the murder and death anyway, so we kept on going for it. At this point, he had decided to make a vengeance vow to try get that Wilderfiend down. Now, in the back, you can kind of see her on the top left there. Hold on. So this is the bottom. So yeah, this is Lorai, Child of the Abyss. So yeah, now she's caught in melee. Things are a little bit more spicy for her. But over here we have Shikana, who has lined up a shot, and it does actually have a decent number of targets from that particular vantage. Notably here, after Rostas is eventually taken down, I think this is the 4th turn, she does line up that shot for the Wilderfiend. She does pop her ability, which is a triple for headshot, so massively boosts her damage, which isn't particularly great before, and it's a double crit and a bunch of hits. So there's a ton of damage done, and that finally finishes the work. So the Wilderfiend is taken down. So victory point wise, this was definitely a win across all 3 games for the Darkoath, but it certainly felt like a victory overall for the Forces of Good. This particular scenario, or this particular result, with all of the Black Talons melee dead, and then with Lorai making a retreat on Seafog, and Shikana sinking, or retreating back from range, does kind of feel very thematic for how the Black Talons seem to get the job done in the story. So there's a lot of Neve dying, and a lot of the melee guys, talking about action after they're restored back to life by Sigmar. So those are my 3 games. Yeah, me and my brother had a good time. It was a lot of fun, and I feel like it was somewhat of a bittersweet success for this particular Darkoath Warqueen. She managed to win all the battles, but in the first one we did lose Warqueen Tanari. In the second one we lost the entire brand line, and in this last game we did lose that Wilderfiend. So she's got a lot to recover from. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. This was just a fly through of some fun and some games we had. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and stick around. I'll have some more videos coming up soon enough.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.